The fall of the Western Roman Empire. To historians, there seems to be no single nation in history more interesting than the Roman Empire. As such, the details of the fall of this empire have undergone much interest and scrutiny. There is much disagreement as to when exactly Rome fell, even argument about what Rome is, what falling is, and whether it fell at all. We will use the following definitions for the purposes of this short video. We will consider the Roman Empire to be the united political entity governed by an emperor around the Mediterranean, including the city of Rome, historically called the Western Roman Empire. Rome will be distinct from the Roman Empire as being the city itself, in Italy at the political center of the Roman Empire. Finally, a fall is the abrupt or gradual conclusion of an empire due to various causes and factors. Remember, by our definition of empire, it will have fallen if it is no longer politically unified. Gradually, since the 1960s, some historians have been arguing that Rome underwent a transformation and did not fall. Some think that Rome fell, but don't date this collapse until 1453 when the Eastern Roman Empire fell. However, the majority of historians agree that by standard definitions of empire and collapse, Rome fell in 476 CE at the death of Romulus Augustulus, the last emperor of Rome. Certainly, emperors had died before him, and Rome had continued on as before with a new emperor, so what was different about Romulus Augustulus? The answer is a bit complicated.
During the period from 200 to 500 CE, Rome struggled with many economic problems. At the end of the Pax Romana, or period of peace, Rome had fewer and fewer conquests, which meant that they were gaining less wealth and resources. Romans also sent money east for luxury goods. There was a never-ending cycle in which emperors would raise taxes and debase coinage, leading to inflation, which meant that the money had less value. As a result, soldiers wanted more money for their work, and to pay them, the empire was in need of money again. Soldiers got mad and declared their emperors generals. By doing this, they abandoned their frontiers, bringing back diseases and letting barbarians grow stronger. This resulted in disease, revolts, and wars that further wrecked the economy. The diseases that soldiers brought back, such as the plague, even lessened the tax base. These economic problems weakened the Roman Empire, being a main component of Rome's ultimate collapse. Depopulation was also a contributing factor in the Roman Empire's decline. Disease, fighting wars, and climate change are thought to be origins, but historians aren't sure. We know that cities began to shrink from archaeological evidence. There were not enough Romans in the army, which led to barbarization.
Throughout this period, barbarians were threatening Rome. Contrary to popular belief, the desire of many of these barbarians was not to plunder the wealth of the empire and burn it to the ground, but instead to incorporate themselves into it. Many barbarians joined the army, which contributed to heavy Germanization of the Roman army. This was originally a good thing, because Rome was in need of a bigger and more effective army. However, the Germanic recruits had different fighting styles and are thought to have been less effective and did not have a deep loyalty to serve Rome. From 100 to 500 CE, outside barbarians also had many opportunities to invade the empire. In 378, the Visigoth soldiers rebelled. They made their way up to Rome and sacked the city. They only stayed for 3 days. Afterwards, they left and set up their own system in Spain. In 455 CE, the Vandals, the feudal lords of North Africa, attacked Rome and sacked the city again. This map shows invasions of the Western Roman Empire from 100 to 500 CE.
Rome also had political problems in which leadership was ineffective and contested. Roman emperors often served extremely short terms. From 193 to 476 AD, in just about 280 years, there were almost 80 emperors. Overall, Rome's decline and ultimate collapse was a combination of economic, political, and military weakness.
After the gradual decline of the Roman Empire, we agree with most historians that the date of the fall of the empire was in 476 CE. This was the death of the last emperor, Romulus Augustulus. He was replaced by a German named Ottokar, who wanted to be a general. When Odovacar took over, Rome was no longer ruled by a Roman emperor. In order to keep the citizens happy, the Roman culture had to be preserved, but so many things had changed in terms of government and military. After an empire has been taken over, The previous culture will remain in the area for a while. Roman culture continued to exist and influence the Mediterranean, but we believe that a significant break did occur. This change is called the decline and fall of the Roman Republic. A key example would be the fact that soon after 476 CE, Rome shifted from an urban to a rural society. During this time, the literacy of the people decreased significantly, and often monks were the only ones who could read or write. Public structures like Roman baths and aqueducts stopped being used and architecture declined. Romans' complex trade routes also began to shrivel up, and the Vandals cut off Rome's grain supply. In 5 BCE, before the decline of the empire, Rome was thought to have 1 million people in their empire. In 800 CE, the historians estimate that the maximum number of people was 30,000. This shows that some sort of profound break must have occurred.
However, another prominent theory regarding the fate of the Roman Empire is the theory known as late antiquity, held by people known as continuists or transformationalists. This is the theory that the Roman Empire transformed into something new after its decline, rather than the theory that the Roman Empire fell after its decline, the view held by catastrophists. The evidence that historians have supporting the late antiquity theory are aspects of the empire that saw less change over the period of decline. For example, historians know that lives of the Roman peasants changed very little over the period of decline, so this supports the theory of transformation. More examples include that the church took over many of the jobs previously held by the Roman Empire, and that barbarians carried on a lot of the Roman traditions, and that the Eastern Empire did not fall until nearly 1,000 years later. We, however, take the side of the decline and fall argument, because as we define the Roman Empire, it ceased to exist after 476 CE. We define the empire as a politically unified area with a single Roman emperor, and after Odoacer overthrew Romulus Augustulus, this empire was no more. Expanding on this, after the barbarians overthrew Augustulus, they were integrated into the Western countries, turning it into barbarian land rather than Roman land. With this fracture in political power, the military drastically fell with no government to control it, contributing further to the theory of collapse in 476 CE. In addition, there are previously mentioned factors, such as illiteracy, depopulation, and the switch from an urban to rural society that contributed to the fault in 476 CE. To sum all this up, while we recognize the theory of transformation because there was continuity in the culture of the Roman Empire, there were so many significant breaks that we believe that the Roman Empire, meaning the state with political power that ruled over the people with an enforced government, truly fell, though many aspects of the culture did not change. And over time we can see that eventually those things that had stayed the same through the collapse of the Roman Empire did change, after the roots of the Roman Empire had been replaced by a new ruler.